Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So we have some XRP related news, well, some banking news, really big banking news. We have some XLM news, we have some Bitcoin news, and we have some more banking news. All this news is terrible for the banks and very good for the new financial system. Now, I told you for weeks I've been talking about the bank failures that are coming, right? And we just had our first bank fail of 2024. The domino has been tipped. The question is, who's next? That's the only question. Who's next? 300 of them. This is what the experts said. 300 banks are at risk. We just had one go down. So if we're going to stick with those numbers, that means we have 299 more still waving in the wind. So this article begins here. It says U.S. regulators just announced the first bank failure of 2024. Of course, I posted about this last night in the members only section. It was around maybe 8:20 or so, 8:20, 8:15. I made that post somewhere around there, right after I posted the regular video. So members only section was able to read about that if they got to that post early enough. The assets will be immediately handed over to Fulton Bank. Now, remember, when these banks fail, there are a certain number of banks that are they have the responsibility to absorb these lesser banks. Why that is, I'm not sure. There's some kind of deal or something in place with the government because of that. But you saw that happen last year when those other banks collapsed as well. They were absorbed. But what happened? So one of the banks that absorbed the failing banks then was corrupted itself. It was injured itself, which then brought it to the brink of failure. So this way of this pathway or this solution that they believe they have is not a solution at all. But let's keep going. It says, quote, Republic Bank's 32 branches in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York will reopen as branches of Fulton Bank on Saturday for branches with normal Saturday hours or on Monday during normal business hours. This evening and over the weekend, depositors of Republic Bank can access their money by writing checks or using ATM or debit cards. So they got to this one early enough. So there wasn't bank runs. The news didn't come out early enough for there to be bank runs. So that was good. It says here, checks drawn on Republic Bank will continue to be processed, and loan customers should continue to make their payments as usual, unquote. The failure follows last year's high-profile collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic, which are among the biggest bank failures in American history. The FDIC expects the failure of Republic Bank to cost about $667 million, which will be deducted from the FDIC's bank-sponsored deposit insurance fund. How much is in that for this year? That's the question. FDIC's bank-sponsored deposit insurance fund. You know what? Do we have time? Can we look that up for a moment? Hold on. Bear with me 1 second. You can look it up same time I'm doing it. Actually, I'm going to use Perplexity. Let's go to Perplexity. Let's pull up a new thread. Let's use the pro version so we can roam the internet. All right. How much is the FDIC? Wait, how did they phrase that? Let's go back to the article. We want the exact phrasing. Bank-sponsored deposit insurance fund. Okay. Bank deposit insurance fund total for 2024. Let's see if we can let's see if it actually gives us that amount. There's no telling. Search. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. So it says based on the information provided in the search results, the FDIC Deposit Insurance Fund, the DIF, balance was $121.8 billion at the end of 2023. That's up $4.8 billion since June 30th of that year. The Deposit Insurance Fund balance was $121.8 billion. Let's see if there's any other numbers here. Search results do not provide the exact 2024 figure, but let's say it's somewhere around there. So they have $121 billion to work with. That's it. This one bank is taking $600 million of that. Now, let's say, and I doubted that each bank will be 600 million, around that amount. It'll probably be much more for the banks that are much more exposed or or at risk, in my humble opinion. But if that's the case, let's round it up to $1 billion each. If each one of the banks that they say is at risk, they said over 300. We read it in about 3 different articles from 3 different pros. So let's say that's actually accurate. Let's play that game. If that is the case and each one was required around $1 billion, then $121 billion is not enough. Remember, this one here is taking 600 million, right? They have 3. Even if we took 600 million, they don't have enough for each of those banks. And from my estimation, unless I'm thinking wrong here, I'm just going off the top of my head, just doing math in my head right now. You tell me. But even if each one was 600 million, you times that times, they said over 300, over 300. They didn't say 300 on a dot. They said over 300. Okay. Read the articles for yourself in case you need to. They don't have enough. They don't have enough to save them all, which means a lot of them will be disastrous when they go down. Disastrous. And that means that those deposits will be at risk, obviously. Just keep in mind for the ones that are at risk that they have that buy-in clause. That's why it's important to know if your bank has a buy-in clause. So buy-in means if they go down and they don't have this FDIC insurance fund to, to keep the liquidity in those deposits, that means they can take your money. They consider your money the bank's assets. Some exchanges do that also. So just keep that in mind also. It's not just the banks. All right. So, hey, listen, we got our first bank failure of 2024. So now what that will lead to, in my humble opinion, more people will lack trust in the banks. That's number one. There's that. So there'll be more deposit flight. More people will turn to other places to keep their money, like money market funds, gold, silver, Bitcoin, other crypto assets, possibly other investments. So there'll probably be more deposit flight. They reported earlier this year that there was continued lack of trust in the bank. Remember last year, they said trust in the bank was at an all-time low, historic all-time low. I expect this to just exacerbate that. So there should be more deposit flight, which is going to be very injurious to the banks overall. So now, obviously, this is great for the new financial system. New financial system is how they can remedy all of this. If we want to be real about it, they can save more money. They can have more transparency. They can loosen up money. They can reallocate money in every possible way. It helps these banks that are suffering. And I know they're just kicking themselves because they would have loved for the new financial system to have been launched by now. But we got to get through this court case first before it can all kick off. We have to get through this court case first. So some banks are going to go down. Probably quite a few of them. This is just the first. So now let's move on to some XLM-based news. All right. So one of our favorite companies here, Franklin Templeton. Well, as long as they're one of our favorite companies, as long as they're using Stellar, let me make that clear. So if they ever don't use Stellar, they're off. They're finished. They're done. They're done. Finito. Finished. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. You're out of here. I'm just saying. So anyway, it's Saturday, folks. I hope you're having a good time. This article is titled, Franklin Templeton tokenizes $380 million of U.S. government money on Polygon and Stellar. The asset manager has launched the Franklin OnChain U.S. government money fund on Polygon and Stellar, offering shares as BENJI tokens. I don't know what that is, but okay, I guess that's their thing. Franklin Templeton has tokenized. Why did they do this? They're reiterating again, but let's read it. Why not? Franklin Templeton has tokenized $380 million of treasuries fund on the Polygon and Stellar blockchains to enable peer-to-peer transfers without intermediaries. You ever notice how anytime Stellar is involved in something, it's huge, it's massive. And this is before there is clarity in the United States. They're doing all of these different things before there is overall clarity in the United States for crypto. Imagine how much more they'll do after. If we ever get clarity, that is. I think that once the Ripple case is over, I think we have clarity for all the bank coins. Once again, all of their use cases are so similar. Why would the SEC bother with any of the other ones? They would just lose. They will all use the same techniques to defeat them. That's what I would think. But anyway, it says here, The company has launched the Franklin OnChain U.S. government money fund, offering shares of BENJI tokens. They literally reiterated the exact same thing from the top in the first two paragraphs. I just don't understand that type of writing, but okay. It's like, is it filler? Is that what they're doing here? They're just filling in the gaps? I don't know. This innovation aims to simplify transactions and expand access, allowing investors to manage their assets more flexibly through direct exchanges. Franklin Templeton's integration of blockchain technology into its financial operations aims to enhance the liquidity and efficiency of asset management. The firm is responding to a growing demand among financial institutions to meld traditional financial structures with modern technology solutions. Once again, I always keep in mind everything that happens on Stellar involves XLM. Every wallet has to have a modicum of XLM. Listen, something that I do take from this is that Franklin Templeton kept his word. So did Wisdom Tree. Both of them said if things go well, they were going to expand their use of blockchain technologies. And at the time, they were only using Stellar. I believe one of them, so you have Polygon also mixed in here, but one of them also has some sort of Ethereum connection. I can't remember which of those companies, but they did expand. They started everything last year, Wisdom Tree Prime app and Franklin Templeton with whatever they had. They came back this year and they both, early in the year, they both expanded their uses. So this is going to continuously grow as they're, satisfied more and more with the product, and they have more ideas that they want to exact. The tokenization of government securities and other assets marks a significant advancement in digital asset management, offering greater transparency, security, efficiency, and I can't even see that word because now they have some kind of subscribe thing just pop up right in my face as I'm reading the article and efficiency. There you go. I clicked it off. Why did they put BlackRock in here? I don't understand that. The article is about Franklin Templeton, right? You scroll down and then they just start talking about BlackRock, but why? It says the development positions the investment giant to compete directly with BlackRock. Do you really believe that they're in competition? Like, that type of thinking only exists with regular people. They really think these companies are separate, that they're battling against each other. Meanwhile, these companies are all managing hundreds of billions to trillions of dollars. There's no competition. See, what happens at the top is they realize there's enough money to go around, especially as long as governments can just print money out of thin air. And that's exactly what they do. It's all fictional nonsense. Value that it's agreed upon value. It really don't have any value. So they can print as much as they want. They know that. They're not in competition with each other. These companies really, you want to be real about it, they're all partners. They're all partners. Same way where most people don't know. I like to throw this out there because it's a good example that BlackRock, some people think BlackRock and Vanguard are in competition when BlackRock is the biggest holder in Vanguard and Vanguard is the biggest holder in BlackRock. Do you really still consider those two different companies? All of these companies, they work together. They don't step on each other's toes because and you know what? That's smart business. The people on the bottom are the ones who are fighting each other, arguing with each other, holding each other back from money, cutting each other's throats and stuff. It's a sad thing, and it shouldn't be that way because it's smarter to work together. There's enough resources. There's enough money out there for everybody. If only regular people could see that. These at the top, no matter what people want to say, whether they want to claim that they're good or they're evil, whatever, they typically don't step on each other's toes. They are all about them. They're so obsessed with the money that they couldn't step on each other's toes. They're all going to make money and they're all going to find their own successes. So no, I don't believe that they're in any competition whatsoever. No, not at all. And not Franklin Templeton versus BlackRock. That's just two different levels. Really, if you really even looked at it, there's two different levels if there was competition. And, just reading about it, I liked how BlackRock, as far as business wise, BlackRock is way more serious when it comes to business and getting their way than Franklin Templeton. Franklin Templeton's a little bit more laid back. Both wildly successful companies, but BlackRock is a different level, just from what I've seen. So now let's move on here. We have a little bit of Bitcoin news. Find out what's going on with Bitcoin today. This article was titled "Bitcoin Warning Issued by Chairman of Swiss National Bank." So we read something about, what was going on in Switzerland before, and there were some people, they were trying to get Bitcoin added to like a government, some sort of government thing. I can't remember what it was in particular. Obviously, most governments are going to stand against that. So I'm guessing this is an update on that. It says here, Thomas Jordan, the longstanding chairman of the Swiss National Bank, recently opined that Bitcoin, the largest crypto by market cap, quote, is not something without risk, unquote. Well, neither are the banks. Seeing multiple banks go down in the West, banks go down in China. You see the financial system in Japan having multiple problems. You know that there's problems in the Indian financial system. So clearly the legacy banking system is not without risk as well. Everything has a risk. So, I mean, what's your point? They just simply, some of these places just still don't want to involve themselves with Bitcoin. They don't want the little people rising up that big, knowing that if they involve themselves with Bitcoin, that's going to be a green light and Bitcoin would explode. And a lot of people from the bottom would become people from the top. Not from the top, but on top. They would rise. They don't want that. It's just my humble opinion. The longest serving governor of a major central bank is skeptical about recent calls to add Bitcoin to the list of its reserves, Reuters reports. Well, maybe that's the problem. This is the longest serving governor of a major central bank. Why are you in there for that long, at that position for that long? Maybe they need some fresh minds in there. I never understand that. The world is supposed to change. Change is the only constant. Change is good. It refreshes things. So you have, spring turns to summer, summer turns to fall, all the leaves and everything falls off, animals, migrate to different places. Then you have the winter, which is like the dead time, even though it's beautiful in the winter, but that everything goes into this rest period. Lots of stuff died. Everything goes into this rest period. And then there's a refreshing in the spring and everything comes to life again. That literally is a sign to humanity of the natural cycles, but humanity refuses to follow that. They just keep things the same. They want everything to be the same. They want these people to be in position for so long and nothing ever changes. It grows stale. It grows stagnant, and stagnant things are not good. They are some of the most unhealthy. You want to drink from a running river that's always refreshed, a running river. You don't want to drink from a stagnant sitting lake that's been the same forever. That's where all of the parasites and all of the brain eating amoebas are, in that stagnant water. That's a fact. But humanity has this in their mind that if you keep something the same, that's the way they want it because of comfort. Comfort can be deadly. Comfort can be deadly. Life is about change. Change comes with risk. Some people refuse to accept that. I've encountered these people in life before where you're growing, you're changing, and they take umbrage to that. They have a problem with that. Oh, you changed. Of course we change. Everything changes. Time changes the stone even. We must grow. What I was as a seed is not what I'm going to be when I blossom. When I grow. The trees were once seeds, but now they're a grand, strong tree. Big, absorbing the sunlight, casting off their own seeds, giving rise to other trees. You must grow. You must change. But that's the problem here with the world right now. You have a lot of minds who don't change. A lot of minds and positions that don't change. And so the world cannot grow. It cannot change. It cannot have its proper seasons. Humanity, in my humble opinion, I'm just saying, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just putting my thoughts out there. But humanity must change and embrace change and understand that you control your change and don't let anyone else control your change, because that could be very dangerous. Have trust within yourself. Build that trust within yourself, and you, with a delicate hand, guide yourself in change and your family in change. So anyway, that's why I think about that, right? That's probably why you're having problems right now. This type of individual may not understand Bitcoin, may not want change, may not want Bitcoin. Listen, when I was younger, my father liked to listen to 70s music. All right? He didn't want to hear any Tupac. I don't like that Tupac. I don't like that Tupac. That's just his way. That's just his way. Could you imagine if my dad might probably be like, why are you using me as an example, Mick? Well, I'm just saying. Would you want someone You want someone in charge of your hip hop music, your pop music, or whatever that only loves 70s music? That's what I'm talking about. There needs to be a refreshing. Let them listen to the 70s music and let us, or someone from our, at least around our understanding, guide the hip hop, the pop, the R&B, so it can grow. That's so I'm seeing that across the board here. I just gave it as an example. You know, you have to have new minds in here. Same problem the West is having in their government right now. There's not a lot of new minds, so you can't get new policy. You can't get rid of old corruption. That's not to say there won't be new corruption. There probably will be. But let's remedy that. Let's get some people with some guts. Let's get some people in there with some, some fire in their belly for honesty and nobility, and treating the people on the bottom right, who understand struggle, all different types of struggles. There's people on the bottom that don't make a lot, and that may be their struggle. There's people on the top and in the middle that may make a lot, but maybe they don't have enough love or enjoyment. All of that could be addressed in a certain way if the people choose to have it addressed. You get what I'm saying? Everyone has their struggles, but you can't remedy old problems if you don't have a refreshing, if you don't have new minds constantly pouring over it. New minds mean new ideas, growth. New ideas mean growth, learning, wisdom, understanding, growth. Can't have that here. Anyway, it's just it's sad in my humble opinion. It says Jordan has noted that the currency reserves are supposed to be liquid and sustainable. All right. Recently, Bitcoin activist Yves Ben-Amin, I might have mispronounced that, Ben Naim, has started an initiative to pass a constitutional amendment that would allow the SMB to hold Bitcoin as a reserve asset. Yeah, that's what it was. Now I remember. The activist aims to collect 100,000 signatures in order to trigger a referendum, and hopefully that happens. He recently told MarketWatch that he expects a referendum vote to fail given how conservative the Swiss people are. Once again, like I said, if you have old minds, it's not, I wouldn't phrase it that way. I'm not into politics at all whatsoever. I don't care about them people at all. And I don't believe in these systems set up by humanity whatsoever. Not even a little bit. I have my own ways. I have my own thoughts. And listen, I have papers and notebooks filled with structures and systems and how things could be reworked. I have my own ideas. Let's just put it that way. Right. But anyway, if you can't get fresh minds in there, you're not going to have any change. It says, however, the self-described, quote, toxic Bitcoin maximalist, unquote, wanted to start a broader discussion. Another thing, never listen. I can't tell people what to do. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. Just my humble thoughts. That's it. You could disagree. That's perfectly fine. Never put a negative on yourself. Ever. Never put a negative on yourself. That's like almost like you're cursing yourself. And be careful with words, because words carry energy. Words are a vibration. Everything vibrates. Every energy vibrates. So when you speak, you're feeling the vibration of my energies, my inner energies, interfacing with you. So you be careful of the things that you say out of your mouth. You definitely don't say anything injurious. You don't put that curse upon yourself. You don't put that energy upon yourself. However you want to phrase it, you never say anything bad about yourself. Now, if we have shortcomings, we recognize that internally. We recognize that we're going to fix it because we can. We fix it because we can. But we're not going to put that out there. We're not going to stick ourselves with any label. No, we're not toxic. We're not this. We're not that. Let's improve on those particular things. Shine goodness upon yourself. I'm telling you, shine goodness upon yourself. Shine a light upon yourself. Make yourself feel good. Life is hard as it is. People are going to give you a hard time anyway. Let them do what they do. But we don't give ourselves a hard time. They're going to attach labels to you anyway. That's how humans understand things, through categorization. They categorize everything when everything really, if you look at it, should be recognized more so as a oneness. Because it all fits together like a puzzle. You want to be, from my experience, is what I've seen. The water fits with the air. The air is another, it flows almost like the water. The fire flows. If you watch fire in mass go through a field, it has a flow to it almost like water, even though fire is a plasma. All of these things flow together, and they have a flow. They have a rhythm, and it all matches together. And all of these different things on Earth are just different iterations of the elements, it seems to me. Fire, air, wind, water. And then there may be something else that we just can't perceive. I don't put it past this world to be like that. But be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. No need to put this label here, toxic Bitcoin. So then when you approach other people in the government, they're looking at that toxic Bitcoin. They do their research. People that are not in the government do their research on you. They look into you immediately. So you don't put that on yourself, because now people are going to be very standoffish with you. Wait a minute. That's that person. They even call themselves toxic. Why should I give them an audience? Why should we listen to you? You're toxic. Why should we take your idea? You're toxic. They don't care. And there's a lot of manipulation. You think because you get those 100 signatures that they have to legitimize that? Man, listen. Well, yeah, I'll leave it there. But hopefully change will happen. And yes, Bitcoin, I think, is an asset that could be added as SMB's reserve asset. I don't know if they're going to do it, but I hope the best for that mission. That's what I'll say. So now we're going to end it off here. I meant to keep this video a little bit shorter today, but we'll see. We'll see. I have this one last article here. This article is titled JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America. Bank of America, why? Handle your business, please. We're so close to the new financial system, Bank of America, and you're one of our banks. Do better, please. JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America suffer $4 billion in losses as unrecoverable debt. Let's scroll down here and find out what is going on. These banks are always in trouble. That's not FUD. That's just a fact. You make up your own mind how you feel about this. I'm not here to tell you how to feel. I'm just here to provide you with information, and I give a little bit of my opinion. And what you do with it is up to you. The two largest banks in the U.S. say that they expect to lose a collective $4.5 billion from customers who are essentially unable to pay their bills. And this is what I'm talking about. And yet they say the West is doing fine. Come on. Now the people are hurting. They're crying out there. They're pouring their souls out there. They're working their tails off. And the people are good people, by the way. They're good people that should have opportunity to live well. They've worked their tails off for so many years. And they're struggling. And I see the media say, no, everything's fine. I see the government a lot of times say, no, everything is fine. No, it's not. No, it's not. But the people will rise. They always find a way. They're going to make it. They're going to survive. They'll always find a way. But they won't forget. They won't forget who didn't help them. It's my humble opinion. It says JP Morgan Chase says its net charge-offs, which are debts that the bank does not expect to receive, hit $2 billion in the first quarter of this year. That's nearly twice the amount of unrecoverable debt compared to the same quarter last year. Meanwhile, Bank of America reported $1.5 billion in net charge-offs, a surge from $807 million a year prior. Bank of America says those losses stem mainly from credit card debt that will likely never be paid. Now, remember last year when I was reporting I gave you the articles, okay? I was reporting when they were saying that people's checking accounts and savings accounts were getting bottomed out. They were going to zero. And what did the people do? This is when the Fed was saying, no, everything's fine. Look, the people are still spending money. That was when they said that. And I told you, the data literally showed that people were using credit cards. They're living off of credit card debt. They're maxing their credit cards out. So now that people, they don't have any savings in their checking. Savings in their checking. They don't have any capital in their checking accounts. They don't have any savings in their savings accounts. They're maxing out their credit cards. So now what's going to happen? They're not going to be able to pay for a lot of things. This is why car repos been through the roof this year. Car repos. What's it called when they kick you out of an apartment? I can't remember what that's called. Eviction. Apartment evictions are sky high. You're seeing that all over TikTok. Repos all over TikTok. People recording everything. So they're exposing it themselves, which is something that the mainstream media probably isn't going to do because it doesn't look good politically to have that, make the rounds. So, of course, with all that going on and people can't find jobs, there's job postings. Those are called ghost job postings. They're not actually hiring. I went over this before. So people can't find jobs. They're not going to be able to pay a lot of things. Like we're in a depression. We're in a depression. I'm tired of these regulators and these legacy system agents saying otherwise. This is a depression, folks. If you can recognize a problem, and a lot of people take things the wrong way, they look at something and they become fearful of it. So they don't want to address the problem because they're filled with fear. But not all of us are like them. But those type of individuals a lot of times will project on you and I when we don't look at things that way. You and I look at a problem and we face it head on because we want to solve the problem. So we know instead of running from a problem and denying it for it to only grow bigger later and still become a problem for us later, because it's going to come no matter what. The cause gave rise to the effect. The effect is going to take place. So instead of doing that, we solve the problem right here, right now. No cowardice. We get it done. That's how we do it. So I wish that people would recognize the state that we're in, whatever you want to phrase it as. The verbiage doesn't matter to me, but recognizing that there is a problem that does matter to me, so we can solve the problem, right? I mean, listen, there's a lot of ways you could solve that problem. I mean, there's so many new technologies out there. You can create new jobs for that. You can do trainings. It's just the same way. You get there's a lot of free trainings out there, right? But it's not widely spoken of. It's not. They don't promote the free trainings out there. The people can train for free, and then maybe they can the jobs can be created for that. Maybe there can be incentives for companies to create jobs for certain things. You have AI going crazy right now. You have robotics about to take over. There's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done with AI. It can't just operate on its own all the time. No, not at all. Not from what I know. And I'm very, very in tune with AI right now. Robotics, same thing. But that's just a few things off my mind where things could be created and new parts of the economy could grow rapidly so that the people could live a little bit better. I don't know if that was eloquent or makes sense or not, but now that you I was about to completely mess up my outro. Now that you have that information, everybody, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.